Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into how a popular fashion brand, Francesca'S, went from a hopeful relaunch to total collapse, literally overnight, leaving thousands of people without a job. You know that feeling, right? You walk by a spot in the mall where your favorite store used to be, and it's just gone? Well, today, we're going to use the story of Francesca'S to understand a much bigger picture. It's a real cautionary tale about corporate rescue plans, and more importantly, about the real people who get caught in the middle. So before we jump into exactly what happened at Francesca's, we need to get our heads around the corporate strategy that was supposed to save it. It's a little thing called restructuring. Okay, so you hear this term restructuring thrown around a lot whenever a company's in trouble. And in theory, it's a smart move, right? It's supposed to be this life-saving maneuver to cut out the waste, make things run smoother, and basically secure the company's future. On paper, it sounds like the perfect fix. But, and this is a huge but, there's another side to the story. While the official goals sound fantastic, there's often this massive hidden cost. The whole process can absolutely crush employee morale. You lose experienced people, and nobody trusts management anymore. This kind of damage can rot a company from the inside out. All right, now let's see how all that theory played out in the real world with Francesca's. This is where that corporate playbook met a really, really harsh ending. So back in 2021, after Francesca's was sold out of bankruptcy, the new CEO put out this really hopeful statement. A new day, a promise of a big comeback for the brand and its people. Sounds good, right? Yeah, well, that new day was tragically short. This timeline really tells the whole story. It starts out great, a cool boutique in '99, a huge IPO in 2011, but by 2016, you can already see the cracks forming. That big relaunch in 2021, turns out it was just a pit stop before a total and final collapse. And just like that, all the optimism from those 2021 press releases was replaced by grim headlines like this one. The promised new beginning had a very sudden end. So what on earth triggered such a sudden shutdown? And I think more importantly, what was the immediate impact on the thousands of people who worked there? Okay, this number is just staggering. The company was in what they call an acute liquidity crisis. Let's be real, that's just a fancy way of saying they completely ran out of cash. They owed $250 million to their vendors, the very people who supplied the clothes and accessories for their stores. When you can't pay your suppliers, the whole machine just grinds to a halt. Now, let's talk about the human cost, because this is where it gets really tough. There's a federal law in the US, it's called the WARN Act, and it's designed to protect employees from exactly this kind of situation. It says companies have to give their people 60 days notice before a huge layoff. That gives folks a window to prepare. 60 days. 2 months. That's the amount of time the law says you should get to find a new job, get your finances in order, and just figure out what's next. But according to so many reports from former employees, the notice they got was zero, a big fat zero. Many of them apparently found out they didn't have a job when they showed up for their shift. For 3,400 people, their entire livelihood just vanished. No warning at all. And this brings us right back to that key idea we talked about in the beginning, survivor syndrome. Just think about it. If you were an employee who made it through the first round of layoffs in 2020, can you imagine the anxiety and fear in that workplace? It must have been terrible, and it almost certainly destroyed morale and productivity long before the final shutdown. So let's step back and look at this whole disaster. What are the big lessons here? What can we actually learn from this retail tragedy? Look, the collapse of Francesca's is so much more than just another store closing. It is a massive warning sign. It shows that restructuring isn't some magic wand you can wave to fix deep core problems. It proves that once you lose the trust of your suppliers, the end can come shockingly fast. And, most importantly, it reminds us that the real price of corporate failure is almost always paid by the frontline employees. So ultimately, the story of Francesca's leaves us with a really tough question, doesn't it? The official line is that restructuring is all about survival and long-term health for the company. But when it goes this wrong, this spectacularly, the final bill gets sent to the employees with no warning and to partners with a pile of unpaid invoices. It really makes you wonder, who is this survival actually for?